Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today on the channel, we're going to be talking about two string trimmers, the DeWalt FlexVolt 60-volt brushless string trimmer and the Milwaukee M18 first generation string trimmer. So stay tuned. All right, so let's first talk about the Milwaukee M18 Fuel string trimmer. So this string trimmer is a single pole design. A single pole goes all the way from the head of the unit all the way to the back of the battery and motor housing. So it makes it really one solid unit. There's no connections between the second generation quik-lok one has that quik-lok head. You can add multiple heads on, but anyways. So I was able to pick up this string trimmer for $159. Check my other video on how to do that. But quick, not necessarily specs, but quick info. It has a safety lock right here, trigger right here. 2-speed, turtle and rabbit. Obviously rabbit is high. Rabbit is not the raccoon for all you Avengers fans. It's got the turtle, high and low. The motor and the battery hang out right here, and the gear head, or the head, is up here. There is a little bolt right here that you need to, there's a little bolt right there that you need to take off after maybe a couple hundred hours of using. Actually, I'll probably do it maybe every season, and fill it with grease and put it back on. So that's pretty much the maintenance you need to do. It has a quick wind head, which means you line up the red stripes and you put the string through and you wind it up. It has a bump feed head, which actually works pretty well. I do have one concern about the bump feed head. I don't know if you can see it here, but the bump feed head is pretty much all plastic. And I mean, it's good, it's light, it hasn't worn out. This is what it looks like after a few weeks of use. Let's see if you can see it. It comes around with Milwaukee's spiral 080 line. I would recommend you get it and swap it out with some really good line. I mean, I didn't do it on this one because this is a early review, but I did that on another one and it's night and day of difference. The swath is adjustable. You can take out the little bolts down here and then flip the cutter blade around and it gives it a bigger swath. So anyways, what's good and bad about this one versus the DeWalt? So on this unit, because the motor and the battery housing is back here, it drives a shaft that goes all the way down the pole, through in the middle of the pole, to the gear head, or to the head, and the gearbox spins the head. So, like so. And because of that design, it makes the string trimmer cause a lot of vibration to the user. A lot of the vibration that comes from the motor spinning the shaft, switching it to the gearbox, powering the head, is transferred to the user. I'll see if I can show you how, or demonstrate that a little bit. But it is on their M18 platform, and for an 18-volt string trimmer, it is very powerful. I don't want to go on video and say this, but I do think it is probably the most powerful 18-volt string trimmer that I have used. I've used some Cobalt Ryobi. What else did I use? In the lower voltage platforms. The Cobalt, I think, was 40 volt. It's pretty, I mean, that one's pretty weak. I would recommend you stay away from that one. The DeWalt 20 volt one, that one's okay. It's pretty good. It's powerful for what it is. The Ryobi 18 volt stuff is okay too. The Works, I definitely recommend you stay away from that stuff. But for all the ones that I've used in the 18 volt platform, this one is very powerful. It will keep up with kind of like a little bit with the Ego. I will say it will feel more torquey, and the reason it will feel more torquey is because of the design. So in the design, because the motor is back here spinning a shaft into the gearbox, getting bit by mosquitoes here. The motor here spins the shaft that goes down here through the gearbox and spins the head, and because of that, besides the vibration, it will feel more torquey to a lot of the users. And why is that? The reason is because the head is here and it's connected to the shaft. When the string hits an object, it doesn't only have the potential kinetic energy, actually I guess energy in motion, so the potential energy from just only the head. That is also carrying the weight of the shaft spinning inside of the, I don't know, let's call it the drive shaft inside the metal pipe here. And because of that, if you think about it, the energy, the potential, I'm trying to figure out, is that potential energy or kinetic energy? The energy is in motion. So let's call it, okay, forget about the energy. Let's talk about the mass. The mass that is in motion is the shaft inside of the pipe, the gearbox, and the head. And because of that, that metal shaft that's inside the pipe that's spinning is relatively pretty heavy. And so because of that, when you hit, or when the object hits a plant, weed, whatever you're cutting, it's able to keep that speed up because of the mass behind that movement. And that way, and because of that, it'll feel a little bit more torquey, or maybe it'll feel more powerful and also more torquey, because when it spins, or when you hit the go, it will have to spin that shaft inside of this pipe. And because of that, it will feel more torquey. And I think Milwaukee did that for a reason, to give it more, or the sense of more power. There is a downside to that though. The downside to that is that because it's spinning the shaft inside of the pipe and through the gearbox, it causes a lot of vibration. I'll see if I can show you that vibration in later in the video. But I don't think I've felt an electric string trimmer with that much vibration. Actually, no, the Echo 56-foot one kind of does a little bit, but not as bad as this one. I'll show you what I mean. But I used to use a John Deere string trimmer, used an Echo, used a steel, and that's all gas, so you kind of expect a lot of the da-da-da-da-da-da-da and some of the vibration, but not on an electric string trimmer. So that's it for the Milwaukee one. Let's talk about this DeWalt one. So this DeWalt FlexVolt I've had since, I don't know when I got it, 2017. So I've had this for a little over, almost 2 full years, use it pretty heavily. On this one, it comes in the box with this unit folded out. It doesn't come off all the way because the wires go through there, but it comes folded out. So you have to put it together. It's not that bad, it's about 5 seconds to put it together. It is not a full shaft design. The first 20-volt one that it had one single shaft that went all the way through. But this one has a 2-part design. But the bad part is that the these heads, or whatever you add onto this, cannot be switched in and out, at least not right now. So this one also has a safety switch, high and low. Instead of a button, it has a slider switch that you can go up and down. Select high and low. I'm almost always using it on low, unless I'm getting something heavy and you can put it on high. But that just goes to tell you the power of this. It has about the same size guard as the Milwaukee right here. On this also has a bump speed head, but it is also plastic. I don't know if you can see it right here. It's also plastic. Bump feed head. In order to wind the string on this trimmer, you have to pull this plastic piece out, wind the string, feed it through, and put it back in. That's not too much of a trouble if you do that a lot. I've done it quite a few times, so it's not too bad for me. What I would do if I were you, I would automatically come and switch this out and point to a 0.095 line. This is the Husqvarna titanium 0.095 line. It makes a night and day of difference. You need to do that. If you're not doing that, do it. Mine's also, the color is also set to maximum swath length. So 0.095 Husqvarna titanium line with the maximum swath. This thing has a lot of power. And it's pretty solid power. It is way more powerful than any of the other stuff out there, except for maybe the Ego and the Echo 56-volt one. But anyways, this one has a 2-part design. The battery is back here, and the wire goes all the way through here, and then ends up at the motor, which is right here. So that's good. and bad, and I'll see if I can tell you why. So because of that, like we said with the Milwaukee, when the head is spinning, it does not have the full mass of the gearbox and the shaft, the metal shaft that's in the pipe behind it. So when it hits something, it can't keep up that head speed as well as the Milwaukee does. But for some reason, I'm not gonna look it up on paper, but the head speed of the DeWalt seems to be significantly faster than the Milwaukee. So that hasn't been too much of a problem for me. Like I said, I'm almost always using it on low. And every once in a while I'll bump it to high if I'm cutting some really thick brush. But the power has not been an issue with this unit. There is one problem with this unit though, and I'll see if I can tell you. So if you look here, near the head of the string trimmer right here, this is where the motor is housed, and there's little vent holes right here, and there's like some mesh in there to keep the stuff out, or the big stuff out at least. And because of that, when you're cutting something really tall or decently tall, a lot of that debris that you cut somehow ends up in these holes, and you got to clean it off every now and then. I'll see if I can show you in a later video. But other than that, I haven't had a problem with this unit. Almost instant start, almost instant speed, and it is really, really smooth. It is very smooth. Like I said, I used to use a gas unit, and after doing that, you kind of feel out of a decent sized yard, your hands are kind of like they're shaking for a little bit. But after switching over to that, you don't really have that vibration transferring to the user as much. But there's a little bit of annoyance about the head, like I told you, not too bad. The battery is also back here, also makes it a little bit head heavy, or the rear a little bit heavy, but this thing is not too heavy. I could use it, I want to say, for at least a few hours. At least I've used it for a few hours and haven't had a problem. The biggest thing I will tell you is definitely swap out that line to a good quality line and use a .095. It will make a night and day of difference. So without further ado, let's get to it. All right, let's see if I can show you guys what I mean. So this is the DeWalt right now. It's relatively clean, not perfectly clean, but relatively clean. I'm gonna try to cut just this little space. It may not be enough, but I'll see if I can cut it and then show you what I mean. All right, so from cutting that little space, yeah, I was a little bit aggressive. Actually, I was probably a lot aggressive, very aggressive. But cutting from that little space, this is what the head ends up looking like right here. So if you're really heavy on it, these holes will get covered up. So I always keep a brush here handy. I always keep a brush like this handy when using it. Make sure I empty out those holes or clean out that head. And the vent holes, right? So if you're cutting pretty normal or just the average string trimming for like as you expect from a normal person or a normal yard or I don't know how you probably should be doing it, you don't have that much of a problem. Here, let me see if I can show you. Let's cut this little space right here. Show you what it looks like. This is what it looks like right now. that little space, this is what it looks like. All right, guys, let's see if I can show you the vibration. All right, so right now the trimmer is set on high. I'm going to see if I can run it and show you the amount of movement or the vibration that it creates, or the movement it creates from the vibration. All right, so now let's test the DeWalt. This is the DeWalt setup, clamped in the same vise. I tried to get it in the same location. Let's see what it looks like. Smooth. How smooth it is. No vibration, no movement. The little button that was even switching earlier, not even switching. Button right here. So I have both of the units here. I mean, they're both good, don't get me wrong. Neither one of them are terrible or suck. The DeWalt I've had for about 2 years and maybe a little bit longer. The Milwaukee one I picked up a few weeks ago. I have used it every week, or almost every weekend since it rained, but a couple weekends. But I did use it during the weekday, and I have also used it in not only my yard, but a lot of other, let's call it family, quote unquote family yard, just to get a good test on it. They're both good. None of them are bad. They both have high and low options. Milwaukee, I'm almost always using on high to get that really fast head speed. The DeWalt, I'm almost always using on low. I mean, I could use it on high, but I don't really feel like you need to. Both of them, I would definitely recommend swapping out the .095 line. The DeWalt, the 20 volt or the 60 volt one is definitely a big upgrade from the 20 volt one. I did have the 20 volt one before, but the 60 volt one is a night and day of difference. So if you have the 20 volt one and you want a little bit more power, definitely get the DeWalt 60 volt one. Milwaukee has a second generation M18 string trimmer with the quik-lok. I did order it. I used it actually, and then I kind of returned it because it wasn't that much of a power difference for me between the first generation one and the second generation one. The second generation one, the big feature about that one was you could add like an edger head, a hedger, a pole saw, all that different stuff to it. But for me, I didn't really need that, so I didn't keep up with it and returned that one to the store. There was a deal about that too, so check out my other video on how I got that one. But the second generation, I think, had a 200 RPM more head speed, but didn't make that much of a difference for me. The second generation one also obviously has the shaft going through the middle of the pipe, so it'll feel maybe a little bit more powerful or torquey, but it's a lot easier for the Milwaukee ones to keep that head speed up even through the thick brush, primarily because the mass behind that motion. The DeWalt, you don't really have that problem, but also because it has so much power, you don't really need that. Although if they did do that, would be pretty cool, but it wouldn't be as smooth, almost smooth like butter when it's running. Like I said, the one gripe with the DeWalt is the head issue. If they could somehow fix that or vent it differently, I'm not really sure what it does, but if they could somehow fix that or vent it differently, actually I'm not, vent it, smooth it, I don't know if air goes in, air comes out, not sure what it does, but if they could deal away with that, that'd be good. Anyways, can't really complain too much about either one. Pick up either one, you'll be good. If you're on the DeWalt platform, pick up the DeWalt. If you're on the Milwaukee platform, pick up the Milwaukee. I'm probably gonna either sell this or give it to some family member, primarily because I play a lot of tennis and my tennis elbow has been acting up a little bit, and I think this has been causing it for a while. Or I haven't had it for a while, but I think the string trimmer is helping contribute to it because of that vibration. So I'm probably not going to use this one too much more. I'll stick with the DeWalt. But if the vibration thing is a really big deal to you and you're on the Milwaukee platform, I would recommend you do not pick up the Milwaukee M18 string trimmer. Probably get a DeWalt or something else. But out of all the string trimmers I've used, the DeWalt is definitely one of the most smoothest. The Echo is pretty smooth, but I don't really have that many Echo items. I did use a friend's Echo, or not the Echo, Ego, sorry. I did use the friend's Ego, and that one's pretty smooth and powerful, but Ego doesn't really make that many other tools outside of lawn OPE. So I'm sticking with the DeWalt. So anyways, if this video has been helpful to you guys, then feel good about it. I hope it's been helpful. If it doesn't, then let me know why. And then we'll see you guys next time.